Hey everyone, welcome back. So in this video we're going to finally apply our finished rig to the 3D model. We're going to make sure that when we bend this rig, the 3D model's vertices and edges move and form accordingly so that it follows the rig, and then we can animate it. So with that in mind, it's going to go into object mode again. And when I'm in object mode, I'm going to select what I'm actually going to do is select my 3D model first and then select the armature. So select your 3D model, shift click the armature. So the armature is the active selection. I'm going to press Control P, which is basically the shortcut to set a parent. And we're going to say model, so we're going to say take the 3D model and parent it to the armature deform. And we're going to select automatic weights. And what this is going to do is Blender is going to automatically, based on the placement, angle, and positioning of your rig within the 3D model, assign vertices and edges to certain bones. And then we can fix it. Blender usually does a good job for a low poly model such as this. For more complex models, you might want to select with empty groups, and then you might have to wait. You might want to paint the weights manually. I generally find it useful to select automatic weights and then to make adjustments. So I'm going to select automatic weights. And as you can see in the hierarchy, your 3D model is now inside the armature, right? Because we have parented the 3D model to the armature. Any changes, any rotations, movements to the armature will affect your 3D model. So how can we see that in action? Well, select the armature, press Control Tab, and go into Pose mode. And in Pose mode, we can start moving our 3D model. So let's move the legs. Let's move one leg. Again, we only have to work on one half of the model. Any changes we make to the 3D model on this half will automatically be mirrored to the other half if you had followed along the previous videos and set up the error modifier. Press G and I'm going to move it, and as you can see, if I go in solid mode, or if I take out X-ray mode, let's go solid, you can see that the leg is now following the mesh, and it's doing a pretty good job, to be honest. There's no fancy there's no other vertices being attached to this leg. The hip is, you know what? I think the hip is back here. I think this back hip over here is being affected a bit too much, but not unreasonably so. So we can fix that. We can fix how much the hips are being affected by the leg movement. We can reduce the impact of that a little bit. But there's nothing particularly wrong over there. Let me move the arms. Alright, so we might want to fix the weights happening over here a bit. But again, nothing too crazy. So that's good. I'm going to move this arm. So basically at this point, you want to select each bone, rotate it along the angles you think it's going to be rotated when you're animating the character. Right, and you're going to make sure that there's no weird vertices or edges. Well, or if anything, you're going to make sure that there's no vertice that should not be attached to this bone that is moving. For example, if I move the arm and your head is also moving with the arm, then something's gone wrong. So make a note of that. Okay, be aware of what's not working. So far, I have noticed that the hips move a bit too much when the legs move, so I'm going to fix that. And the other thing I've noticed is that the shoulders, the vertices around the shoulder over here, also move a bit too much when I'm moving the leg. See, when I'm moving the arm, so we're going to fix that as well. And so does this neck over here. All right, I'm going to go move the head. So we're going to select the head here, rotate. Look at that. Our eyes don't follow the head very well. So we're going to fix that as well. It's going to move side view, make sure. Okay, not too bad. I mean, we can fix a little bit of this deformation, but not too bad. Very minor. Move the neck. Neck will only move this way. So we're going to side view. Now, of course, if you move it all the way to the back, the deformation is going to be a little intense. But there's a very low chance for you to actually do these kinds of movements when you're animating a character. Realistically, your neck is probably going to move within this range. So keep that in mind. Neck looks good. It's not really affecting any of these bones. Again, this is going to be different for you if your 3D model is different. So every student is going to have a different experience with this. I'm going to go to the side view. All right, not too bad. I mean, I find that this upper bone is affecting these vertices a bit too much, but again, nothing crazy. This is appropriate. Again, we will rarely be bending a character that much. So we can fix the weights a little bit around the hips, but again, not too bad. Okay. And again, check the legs over here. If I move them up, if I move them out. Okay, that looks fine. Another way to make sure your weights are working properly is just to pose your character. If you have a fighting game, pose the whole character into a fighting pose and see what is not where it should be. All right, that's another way to check. Cool. So after all this checking, I can see that the eyes, the shoulders, a little bit of the hips need to be repainted. And let's move this. And maybe the leg is affecting this edge a bit too much, but that could just be because it could do with another edge loop over here. But again, I'm not going to worry about that right now. Okay, so let's fix it. To start painting your weights, you want to select your armature. You want to go into object mode. Okay, you want to select your armature. You want to select your 3D model. And then with those two selected in that specific order, you'll notice that you have new modes here. You've got object mode, edit mode, sculpt mode, vertex paint, weight paint, and texture paint. Again, I'm going to use the shortcut Control Tab, and I'm going to select weight paints. All right, and you're going to be taken to a screen that looks something like this. I like to be in wireframe mode, where I can see the vertices, and essentially you'll get this character painted blue, and right now this is red. So we have selected, it's going to shift click. To select something, you want to not just select the bone, because you can't do that. You have to shift click the bone. I shift clicked this bone, and you can see the colors have changed. And what these colors basically mean is that this bone, anything that is dark blue, is not being affected by this bone. That's 0 weight. Anything that's red is 100% weight. That means that vertice is being 100% affected by this bone. And then you have the colors in between. Yellow means mostly being affected by this bone. Green means somewhat being affected by this bone. So there are some things to fix here. So let's start here with this bone. I'm going to Alt-A to deselect all my bones. Then I'm going to shift click and select only this front bone right here. And I'm going to take a weight of 100. I like my radius to be a bit smaller, so I'm going to go for like 30 pixels. And I'm just going to say, hey, I want this to completely affect this. There we go. And with my weight of 0, I'm okay if there is no effect on this. Again, you only really have to do this to half the model. The changes you make will automatically be affected on the other side. And the reason that is because whatever weights you're painting is being impacted on the 3D model, not the armature. So if I go out into edit mode, so if I select my 3D model, go into object mode, select my 3D model, go into edit mode, and I select my vertices, you'll notice that each vertex has a new value. So if I go to item in this little view window here, each vertex has what's called vertex weights now. And you can see that this vertex is 0.938 affected by the lower foot and 0.062, which is 6% affected to the lower leg and 93% affected to the foot. These values are attached to the vertices, and these vertices are being errored on the other side. So any changes to these values will impact the other side. Okay, so I'm going to select the armature again. Okay, and I'm going to shift select the, I'm going to go into object mode, and I'm going to select the armature, select the 3D object, Control Tab, weight paint, Alt A to deselect, shift click this leg. I'm happy with that. You can try rotating this leg. So to rotate this leg, you need to go into O's mode, and that's going to be a bit annoying because you're going to have to keep selecting the armature and then do all of that. So I'm just going to go back into object mode, and before I start painting weights, I'm going to go to edit up here in the file window, and I'm going to select lock object modes. And this basically allows us to move between object modes without selecting the object mode. It allows us to move between these different modes. So I'm going to select my armature, go into Control Tab, my armature. So now I'm in O's mode. I'm going to press Tab. See, I'm going to press Control Tab, go into object mode, select my character, Control Tab, weight paint, and what that lets me now do is switch between O's mode and weight. So I'm going to Alt A, only Shift A, select this, Control, I'm going to press Tab. It's not working quite as I would like it to. Well, that's okay. We'll worry about it later. So let's just go back into weight mode. The next thing I want to fix was, I'm going to press Alt A to deselect, Shift A to select again. I want to fix these weights over here. So I'm going to go to weight of 0, and I'm going to say that I do not want my arm to impact any of these guys. There we go. Okay, and I am perfectly fine with my arm impacting this. Again, it's easy for it to be in wireframe mode, so you can select. There you go. That should be fine. And finally, we want to fix the head. Now, to fix the head, there is an easy way. You obviously will have to select Alt A. You'll want to select each of these vertices, and there's a lot of vertices over here. And we know that we just want to attach this to one single bone, the head. So to do that, I'm going to show you a different mode. I'm going to press Tab. I'm going to go into Edit mode. I'm going to select one vertice, and I'm going to press L. And that will select all the linked vertices. With all the linked vertices selected, now you can go into vertex mode and press X to delete the weights. Or a smarter way to do it is to go into this vertex menu up here and select vertex groups. The shortcut is Control G. Always learn the shortcuts. So I'm going to use the shortcut here, Control G, remove active group, and that removes all the groups that this vertex is. L, there we go. Control G, remove active. I'm going to say remove all groups actually. Control G, then assign to new group. That's not what I wanted to do. Hold on. L, C, edit mode, L, Control G, remove active group, Control G, vertex groups. There we go. Set active group. That's what I'm wanting. Seem to have messed this up. Need to undo everything. Perfect. Going to edit mode. Let's select this again. With this selected, L, Control G, remove active group. Do not remove all groups. Just remove the active group. Control G again. Set active group head. Control G, assign to active group. Boom. There we go. Now you'll notice that the head has a complete one weight, and we can delete the neck over here. Okay. And what we can do is we can select one of these. Perfect. This was the one with the neck removed. And we can Shift L. Oops. Sorry guys, this is not quite working the way I would have liked it to work. Press L, select all the linked vertices, Control G, remove from active group. There we go. Control G, remove from all, Control G. There we go. That's what I wanted. So select one of these vertices, press L, Control G, remove from all. Alright, don't remove all the groups, just remove from all. Control G again, set active group, select the head, and Control G again, and assign to active group. And what that should do is that should give each vertex over here 100% to the head. So now, if I go back into weight paint mode here, you can see that, again, Alt A, select this, everything's here, Alt A, I'm going to select this vertex over here, uh-oh, I made a mistake. This happens, guys. I'm going to press Alt A. I apparently had this arm selected all while I was working on that, and I seem to have removed all the weight paints from this arm. Because if I press Alt A and select this arm, that's all here. So just going to press Alt A again, select this arm, and we're just going to paint the weights again. That's okay. I wonder if we can, yeah, let's paint the weights again. So we're just going to select these guys. We want red here. We want red here. Perfect. We want red here. There we go. And we probably want red over here. And over here. Perfect. And what we can do is we can reduce the weight down to 0.5 and probably paint in a little bit over here. There we go. And that should take care of that. So now it's a good time to go into object mode again. Select your armature, Control Tab, go into pose mode, and just move the things that you fixed. That looks a lot better. So if I was to go into front view and rotate this arm down, again I have X-ray mode selected, so it's probably not going to be what it looks like. There we go. That looks more like what we want it to look. If I move the head, everything moves with the head. If I rotate, going to side view, rotate the legs to the side that I want it to rotate, legs are probably not going to rotate more than this. Everything looks fine. All said. There we go. Everything looks fine over there. And everything looks good over here too. Perfect. So the only small thing that I would like to fix is probably go into object mode, select my armature, select the model, control space, control tab, weight paint, Alt A, Shift A, Alt A again, Shift A. I noticed that these weights seem to have gotten messed up, and that these seem to be a little messed up as well. So I'm just going to fix this. I'm going to give it a weight of 1, and I'm just going to go back into wireframe mode, paint on this side, and there we go. And if I Alt A and select the neck, I do want the neck to have a lot of control over these vertices, and maybe just about 40 to 50% worth of control on these vertices down here. Perfect. Alt A, going to select this one over here. I am increase this over here. Alt A, this one. I would like the root bone to be completely in charge. Some of these vertices over here. Maybe not that much up there. I'm going to undo that. Reduce the weight to maybe 30. There we go. Cool. And that should do it. So I'm going to go into object mode. I'm going to select my armature, model, control tab. Select my armature, control tab, and there. Let's take a look at this. Side. The little bend in the leg is perfectly fine, but that's because of the inverse kinematics. Rotating the root will affect this bone, and affecting this bone will affect the inverse kinematics. That is intended. I'm going to move and rotate this guy. Looks good. Yep, that looks good. And rotate this guy. That looks good. Now we don't have this bone affecting these edges as much. Rotate the neck. That's okay. Rotate the head. That looks good. Okay, cool. I'm happy with that. Now you can spend a lot of time weight painting and fine tuning, but really remember to always just check within the range that you think you're going to animate. And any issues outside that range, don't spend too much time on that. So that's it for weight painting. And in the next few videos, we're going to look at animation. So stay tuned for that.